Hello, I'm Joel Blackford with Bethesda Sabbath Fellowship. We are not meeting right now due to building issues. It's going to be another month at least. So we're preparing for Sabbath today, and I thought I'd prepare a message that's based kind of on looking forward to the Sabbath. Once again, we studied the philosophy of eschatology, the philosophy of the end of days. The eschatos means end. And what you need to know, what's your reality, why were you born for such a time as this? Today's lesson is more on how, as a bride, as a chaste bride, you need to enter your bridal chamber and how the Bible talks about that. We try not to give you disparate thinking about this. The verses should match with what's going on in the world. Okay, I have friends, lots of friends in eschatology, and they are saying it's time to prep. Now, I would argue you need to prep first on your heart and on your clothing. Yes, I will explain the clothing issue. It's biblical, trust me. But in the meantime, you need to think about: should you prep immediately? Yes. Should you survive in place or bug out? You need to pray about those things. So Michael Snyder is a friend, and he's saying why every person in America needs to become a prepper during the second half of 2020. There's still time, people. Based on what I know, there's still some time to start prepping a little bit here, a little bit there. It adds up. Okay, so what are you preparing for? According to this guy, Mark Dalton, a pandemic, a financial collapse, a nuclear war, loss of electric grid. People are going to be overwhelmed. It's going to be ugly. You're going to have more riots at some point in time because the food is going to dry up. You're going to have problems with locusts worldwide, which we're seeing in Africa, Asia, and South America. You're going to have horrific problems just with tons of different things. We're having difficulties getting the food to market. We're having difficulties shopping. We're having difficulties getting our jobs to work out because we have to work from home. Most jobs are not set up, not immediately, to work from home. So these are not good times. And so it's time to prep because things are going to get much worse. And they could get 10 times worse, okay? So listen to the right preppers, and that might mean that you need to research more now than ever before because a lot of people aren't really experts. They're just trying to make money off you. So, you know, hey, if you buy $1,000 worth of prepping food, well, you probably could have bought that for $200. They're gouging you, okay? A lot of these end times ministries are trying to make a big killing before we go in. It's sick and twisted, but that's the way it works. So I'm telling you, first prepare your heart, prepare your clothing. As I stated, I will cover that, and then prepare and prepping. Okay. Now, I have a friend named Jolene that is from Witness for Yeshua Mashiach. Should be HaMashiach, but she's newer. She's a newer believer. She's a little bit raw in terms of some of the things that she says, but she's saying, based on her visions, it's going to get 10 times worse. Whatever plague are going through right now, the plagues are going to increase and increase and increase. And then on the other side, looking towards the heavens for Jesus, she's saying we're going to see supernatural things. Now you can come at me and say, well, I'm a cessationist and I believe that's strange fire. And well, you know what? If it happens, then it's from God, or it could be from Satan too. But things are going to start happening. So be prepared for those things, and the riots are going to get worse. So what God is telling me to share with you is Bo from Isaiah 26, which is come on in. That means Yeshua is already inside the room. And I'm going to match it up with Song of Solomon, chapters 3 and 5. He's calling you to hide in your rooms. That means you're going to need to prepare. First, you're going to need food and water before you go into the rooms and wait until the indignation is overpassed. So get ready for that. These plagues are going to get worse. The food is going to become scarce. Riots will become much worse. There's still time to prepare. Whether you trust Sadhu Sundar Savage or not, I don't care. He's saying there's a reprieve from some time to some time. And so either in 2020 or 2021, it's going to get much worse, and the pandemic is coming back again. So let's look at the verses. Let's not twist the Bible. Let's look at modern prophets and ancient prophets. Let's try to get our hearts prepared for the news that's coming. So, according to the Bible, these freak waves of plagues and upheavals are going to come faster and faster. And according to Luke 21:25, nations will be in anxiety and bewilderment at the sound and surge of the sea. So that's ethnos, ethnic peoples. And that's the peoples, the sound and surge. In biblical thought, the sea is the peoples in many, many cases. Sometimes it's actually the sea, but it is also the peoples, especially in eschatological ways. But the end will come with a flood, That's shatef in the Hebrew. And desolations are decreed until the war is over. That's not Daniel 9:26, the famous sections of the 490 years, the 483 years, the 7 final years, things like that. That's Daniel 9:24 through 27. So it's these things are going to get worse. Peoples are like waves, and they're going to get worse, and plagues and problems are going to get worse. Just count on it. Now, we need to learn the basic rules. So we're going to start out in Genesis 34 and learn about being a chaste bride and then how the rules relate to us going forward. So first we have Dinah. Dinah is the daughter of Leah. She had 6 boys and 1 daughter, and born to Yaakov, so she's the daughter of Jacob, and she's in the town of terrorists. So Shechem is the son of Hamor, the Hivite, and he's the terrorist, okay? He's the local ruler. He saw her, he grabbed her, he raped her, he humiliated her. Now, he was attracted to her, so he wanted to marry her. So he said to his father, hey, go get her, and I want her to be my wife. But Jacob wasn't so happy with this, but he didn't know how to stop it. The boys had another plan. His sons got together and said, well, you know what? She can marry you if you circumcise first, because, we don't like this uncircumcised stuff. So they circumcised, and the boys came in and slaughtered the whole city, this whole terrorist town. So not a good answer to this, but, maybe she should have stayed with her friends and not gone out to meet the terrorist girls. Okay? So you're going to see more of that as we move forward into Isaiah 26. So this is setting up for the end of Isaiah 26, which is, come enter your rooms. So my soul desires you at night, my spirit seeks you at dawn, for when your judgments are here on earth, the people in the world learn what righteousness is. Even if pity is shown to the wicked, he still doesn't learn what righteousness is. In the land of uprightness, he will act wrongly and fail to see the majesty of Adonai. Adonai, you raised your hand, but they still didn't see you. Yet with shame, they will see your zeal for the people. Yes, fire in the end times will destroy your enemies. Yeah, that's exactly what it'll be like at the end. Because this is part of Isaiah 24 through 27, which is the Jewish version of Revelation. Adonai, you will grant us peace. Shalom. Because of all we have done, you have done for us. Yes, so he's done the deeds for us. Adonai our God, other lords besides you have ruled us, but only you do we invoke by name. The dead will not live again. The ghosts, that's Rephaim, which is the fallen ones, the Nephilim kind of, will not rise again, for you punished and destroyed them, wiped out all memory of them. You enlarged the nation, Adonai. You enlarged the nation and thus glorified yourself. You extended all the frontiers of the country. Finishing out Isaiah 26. Adonai, when they were troubled, they sought you. When you chastened them, they poured out a silent prayer. As a pregnant woman about to give birth cries out and writhes in labor pains, so we have been at your presence. Adonai, we have been pregnant and been in pain. That's what the world is going through right now. But we, as it were, have given birth to the wind. We have not brought Yeshua to the land. Those inhabiting the world have not come to life. But this is the good part. Your dead will live. This is the resurrection. My corpses will rise. Awake and sing, you who dwell in the dust. That's the resurrection, of course. For your dew is like the morning dew, and the earth will bring the ghost, that's the Rephaim, I'm sorry, to life. Yes, we're going to deal with the spirits of the Nephilim in the end times. But then he finishes it out. Come, my people, that's the bride, enter your rooms, shut your doors behind you, hide yourselves for a little while until the wrath is past. That's prepping. You can't go and hide yourself in these rooms without first prepping for food and water and your heart and your clothing. So for see, Adonai emerges from his place to punish those on the earth, so he is going to account for them and punish them, those on the earth for their sin. The earth will reveal the blood shed in it and no longer conceal its slain. So that's an important section that's like, it reads like Revelation, people. It really does. Isaiah 24 through 27. Please read the whole thing. So let's go to a Jewish wedding and let's look at what Dinah didn't get, which is she didn't have her brothers protecting her from the terrorists. And that's the Shomrim, the Shushvanim. They are the guards. They protect the bride and keep her chaste until the wedding. And so she wears her veil. You can see it there, and we're going to talk about the veil in a little while here. You have to prepare your heart for this wedding. And so on the right-hand side, that's Ezra and Nehemiah as they have warriors with a sword in one hand or a spear in one hand, and then they're building with their other hand as they're building this wall, and the terrorists are attacking them. So we see the shushvanim, that's the guards, the shomrim in the Hebrew, that are protectors. And God talks about the men that need to do that. And so with Dinah, there was no one there to protect her. But there is Yeshua to protect us, and there are others too. So let's go to Song of Solomon and read about these Shushvanim, these Shomrim. Okay, so this is chapter 3 and chapter 5, and we're going to see some interesting things, and you're not going to like what you see, but you know what? This is the way I interpret these two chapters. Night after night on my bed, I looked for the man I love. I looked for him. That's Yeshua. I'm looking for him. I didn't find him. I will get up now and roam the city. No, please don't do that. That's bad. You know what happened to Dinah. Don't do that. Through the streets and the open places. Don't do that. I will look for the man I love. Stay home. I looked for him, but I didn't find him. The guards, the Shushvanim, the Shomrim in the Hebrew, roaming the city found me. Have you seen the man I love? Scarcely had I left them when I found the man I love. I took hold of him and would not let him go until I had brought him to my mother's house, to the bedroom of the woman who conceived me. I warn you, daughters of Jerusalem, by the gazelles and deer in the wilds, do not awaken or stir up love until it wants to arise. So she's warning, and she shouldn't be walking the city, people. You saw what happened with Dinah, okay? So chapter 5. This is where it gets weird, but this is how I interpret it. You see what you think of these verses. The man I love, Yeshua, put his hand through the hole in the door latch, and my heart began pounding at the thought of him. I got up to open for the man I love. My hands were dripping with myrrh, pure myrrh. Okay, so the smell, the beautiful smell of the Messiah returning. So myrrh gives you that beautiful aroma. It's kind of a temple issue too. The tabernacle, the temple had myrrh in it, okay? And you should smell that beautiful incense smell. So you should know you're real close when you start to smell that smell, okay? Of my fingers on the handle of the bolt, I opened for my darling, but my darling had turned and gone. My heart failed me when he spoke. I sought him, but I couldn't find him. I called him, but he didn't answer. The watchman, these are the Shomrim, the Shushvanim, roaming the city found me. They beat me. They wounded me. They took away my cloak, the Radidi. So the Radid is the cloak, and it's her cloak, my cloak, Radidi. Those guardians, those Shomrim, those Shushvanim of the walls, I charge you, daughters of Jerusalem, that if you find the man I love, what are you to tell him? That I'm sick with love. Okay, so they're the good guys, not the bad guys. You want to think that they're beating up the bride. They have to, because she shouldn't be roaming the city. Okay, we've got this warning already. Don't go into the city. And you guys, don't go into the city when it gets really, really rough. Ditch. Run for the hills, okay? And if you can stay in place, if you can secure your dwelling and have enough food and things like that, stay there. But if God tells you to run, okay? And there's a wonderful guy from the 40s. He was in Israel, and I'm blanking on his name right now. Wonderful evangelist, British fellow, British Army officer. And God would tell him to run, and he would run, and he would live. So I'll come up with his name hopefully by the end of the video. So the main thing is the Shushvanim, the Shomrim, are safeguards. They are the watchmen. They are good guys, and they're beating her, they're wounding her, they're taking away the cloak, the wedding cloak in this case, because they have to, because she's being a filthy person. She's not being a chaste bride. Let's look at it in the Hebrew. So opened, I, for my beloved, by my beloved. So you see that Dodi up there? Can you see it? 1730, 1730, Dodi, Dodi. Okay, so that's like bride's groom, whatever. It's beloved. It's your spouse to be, and had turned away and gone. My heart, and that's nefeshi. So that is my soul, the part of you that dies. Okay, that's the nefesh. Leaped up when he spoke. I sought him, but not below, and no, could find him. Called, but below again, no. He gave me an answer. Found me, the watchman. There's the Shomrim, the Shomrim, before that, the definite article. And they did Saviv, they went about, okay, so the Saviv, they went around about the city, and that is the word for city. They struck me, wounded me, took away my veil from me, the Shomrim again. So there's Radidi, you see it there. It's like Dodi. Do you see the Dodi up on the upper right-hand corner? Okay, and then the Radidi, it's very similar, people. If you don't have the Masoretic marks, well, you should know the difference between the two or for my beloved, my veil in this case, but it's real close, okay? So Radidi sounds like Dodi, beloved like a bride. Bride is kala in Hebrew. That's consumed also, which is very interesting. You consume your bride. It isn't found in the New Testament. The closest words are tetelestai. So remember, Jesus is on the cross and he says, "It is finished." It really doesn't say finished, people. Don't believe tetelestai is that. It is more like in the Old Testament, it's initiated. Okay? He's initiating the bridal ceremony. And then he's also saying, don't be a bad bride. Don't party in the city. Stay in your room, in your prayer closet. Stay in there, prep. Okay? So let's give you a couple of verses that match up. So let's go back to Genesis 24. Went out walking in the field. So this is Itzhak, and he's waiting for his bride. And like the Holy Spirit is bringing his bride, that's Rivka. And so he's not just walking in the field, he's meditating. He's siaking. I'm sorry, I'm using the Hebrew that way, but he is siak. Okay? And that's like he's praying in the Spirit. He's praying in tongues, I would say. Okay? Meditating. And so siak is real close to that. It's like ruach. Okay, and she saw Yitzhak, and she quickly dismounted the camel. She said to the servant, "Who is the man walking in the field to meet us?" When the servant replied, "It's my master," she took the veil. Okay, so that's the Radid, okay, and she is, and this Lakadodi is going on here. So I wanted to show you that next door to this. This is love, people, okay, and so they would both be saying Lakadodi, my beloved, come, my beloved, okay, and it's mysterious, it's beautiful, and this is a picture of the end times in terms of he's calling us, saying, "Bo, come into this wedding closet with me." Prayer closet. And when we welcome the Shabbat, like we are in a couple of hours here, that's like the same thing that we do. We always say Lakadodi before we go into the Shabbat. So we welcome the Kala, the bride, like we welcome the Shabbat, the bride, and so the Radid is basically a veil or a therastron in the Greek, okay? And it's rather mysterious, people, okay? Just get used to it. I mean, all of these things are mysterious. So this is mysterious too, but we get to deal with the veil on, off, wedding. We have the veil on, then we have the widow's clothes on. And this is Tamar was told, "Your father-in-law has gone up to Timnah to shear his sheep." That means he's going to make a lot of money. And he's probably going to do some drinking and some fun stuff. So she took off her widow's clothes, completely covered her face with her veil, and sat at the entrance of wherever it was, Ionim, okay, all right, and which is on the way to Timnah. For she saw that Shelah, his third son, had not, he had grown up, but he had not been given to her, to her as a husband. And so when Yehuda saw her, he thought she was a Zona, a prostitute, because she had covered her face with this veil. So she got up afterwards and went away, took off her veil, and put on her widow's clothes again. So we see these veils have meaning. In the Bible, clothing has meaning, veils have meaning, okay? And in the Greek, there it is, thereistron, yeah. And so that is a lightweight covering. In the Greek, it's imprecise there. It could be a wedding veil. It's an important covering though. It could be a wide wrapper. It could be the whole veil that you have at your wedding. And so that would be oh goodness, I'm blanking on the term for that. So, I'll talit katan. So it could be a talit. Um, and also a word very similar to this in the Greek is theristes, and that is harvester, the reapers, possibly the angels. So just keep that in mind. I'm trying to compare between Song of Songs and what you're seeing in the Old Testament with this veil issue that's going on. Okay, then continuing on a couple of sections from Isaiah 61 and 59. "I am so joyful in Adonai, my soul rejoices in my God, for he has clothed me in Yeshua, dressed me in a robe with a robe of triumph, like a bridegroom wearing a festive turban, like a bridegroom adorned, or bride adorned with her jewels." Then 59, "He put on righteousness like a breastplate and a helmet of salvation on his head, and he put on garments of vengeance for clothing, and wrapped himself with zeal as a mantle." So when we get to Revelation, we know what the clothing means. So we're going to show you Revelation 15:4 and 19:8 and prove it through to you. So who should, or not should fear the Lord. So we shouldn't fear the Lord, and who would not do so, and will glorify the name of you, because we should be calling out the name of you, for you alone are holy, for all the nations will come and worship. So that's ethnos, will worship before you because of the righteous acts. That's dikaiomata in the Greek. And so that's like the righteous clothing. Okay, we're going to prove it to you. Of you have been revealed. And verse 8 of 19, and it was given to her that she should be clothed in fine linen, bright and pure, for fine linen are the dikaiomata, the righteous acts of the saints. So it's huk in the Hebrew. Those are things like keeping Sabbath, which we don't quite understand why he said, hey, it's the seventh day and keep it, or his festivals, his moedim. You have to do it. There are certain things, huk, dikaiomata, that you keep, and you get righteous garments as a result of keeping his righteousness. You want to do what Yeshua does. A couple more verses that make sense and fit into this. Matthew 22. Now when the king came in to look at the guests, and he saw a man who wasn't dressed for a wedding, so he asked him, friend, how did you get in here without wedding clothes? The man was speechless. Then the king said to the servants, bind him hand and foot, and throw him outside into the dark. In the place people will wail and grind their teeth, for many are invited, but few are chosen. Okay, clothing matters, people. It matters. And those are the righteous deeds. He wasn't wearing any righteous deeds. He was wearing filthy clothes. He wasn't dressed properly, and he's kicked out, and it's not a good kick out. So remember, when you received and heard and obey it, and turn from your sin, for if you don't wake up, I will come as a thief. So this is Revelation 3 and 4. And so if you're not awake, then he comes like a thief in the night. If you're awake, you're going to know. And you don't know what moment I will come upon you. So be awake. Nevertheless, you do have a few people in Sardis who have not soiled their clothes, and they walk with me clothed in white, because they are worthy. So we know clothing is important. We see that white clothing are like the righteous deeds, and it makes you worthy. And we are moving into the Great Tribulation. I preach that we will go through, okay? That where that arrow is, we're close to the fourth seal right now, but where that arrow is, the two witnesses show up, and then they leave before the trumpets of the second arrow down below. And I'm saying, prepare your heart, prepare your clothes, which we talked about. Those are the righteous deeds. And then purchase your food and water, and start purchasing now, because we're starting to get closer to these horrific times. These last 7 years. We're not there yet. So once again, people are going to scream at me and say, we're not in the Great Tribulation right now. No, we're not. I'm saying that the birth pangs occur beforehand. It's kind of like a birth, you know. You're going to go through pangs before you go through the birth. So what caused me to record this video this way is J.D. Farag came out and said, anybody that believes what I believe and what Dr. Walter Martin believe and other scholars believe that we go through they're satanic. He's with this big smile. You can see this, and this is a video from Moriel TV from James Jacob Prash saying, come on, JD. And this is at the 39-minute mark, too. This is wrong. You can't call us demonic just because we disagree with you. It's not a salvation issue. So I'm arguing that the dead shall rise before the rapture. So that means that it has to happen at the end. You can see it in the verse there, 1 Thessalonians 4:16 through 17. The dead rise first. So the rapture doesn't work. And I don't care how you twist the Bible, it doesn't work. But you don't get to call us demonic just because we read the Bible differently. And I'm very unhappy with him, but I've been very unhappy with Calvary Chapel for years, because they have pastors that are pedophiles, and they keep on bringing them back, and they have pastors that have affairs, and this is a horrible comment for him to make. So if you want to go to the 39-40-minute mark of Moriel TV's video called Christ is Coming, Jan Markell, Rick Wiles, and the Great Apostasy, you'll hear it for yourself, and you'll watch him smile, a big Cheshire grin, and it's sick. So I've always argued that we're coming up to 1.8 billion people, 1.94 billion people dying, because we're getting close to seal number 4, and the seals look just like what Matthew 24 sounds like. So Yeshua's words seem to sound like the seals. Those are the birth pangs, and we're going through the birth pangs. And we're in seal 3, waiting for seal 4. The directions match up with Zechariah 6, and then we head along, and we're going to see all 4 of these. We're going to see supernatural signs. We're going to see drought, death, biowarfare, 1.944 billion deaths. We're going to see it. Then seal 5, seal 6, and that's the end. Be blessed, be careful, because I want you to prep in heart and with your clothing, And then I want you to go get some food and water and prepare because it's going to get ugly, people. Be blessed. Bye bye.